Hello, beautiful Limitless Mum Community. How's everyone feeling today? If you're catching me live, come and say hello. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you can see me and you can hear me clearly. And if you're catching the replay, as always, hashtag replay and say hello and communicate along as if you're watching live, because I'll always come back and answer your questions and comments later. If you're catching us live as well, please do ask your questions. Sometimes I can't see them over here on Facebook. It just depends on how Facebook wants to play with me. So if I don't respond to you straight away during the live, then I will come back and answer your questions later. So today I want to talk to you about the role of the spleen in terms of driving your business success. And the reason, if you are unaware that I'm coming to speak about this today, is because on the 15th, which is just next week, we are going to be starting Belief Synergy Live. It is the first time we've run Belief Synergy Live in 2024, and I absolutely cannot wait to share this with you guys. And we're doing something really different. So up until very recently, Belief Synergy has been run as a 4-week group program. And I've run it live, and I've also run it as a course, self-study that you can do on your own at any time. This time we're doing Belief Synergy a little bit different, because this time we're moving out of just focusing on the subconscious programs that are holding you back in your business success and moving into having a look at also where your energetics are perhaps limiting you or keeping you playing small and stopping you from feeling confident. And the splenic center is one of the centers that we're going to be doing some work on during Belief Synergy. What we're going to actually be doing is using something that I trained in last year called Human Design Alchemy, which is a magical experience where we look at the energetics and the energy that you're holding on to in your splenic center, or in your centers, any of your centers, when we're using Human Design Alchemy, and alchemize it. We turn all of the stuff that you're carrying around with you that feels heavy, that keeps you operating from a place of fear, and we alchemize that and turn it into your biggest portal of wisdom, this beautiful gold that drives you forward in an empowered and confident way. So I wanted to talk to you guys about the spleen, and I wanted to talk to you guys about how and where these energies might be coming up, so that you have an idea. If you're joining us to Belief Synergy, that you'll have an idea of what we'll be working for. Absolutely, 100%. Janelle, I'm also going to be talking today, so stay with me, because I'm going to talk about the defined and undefined spleen and the differences between the two. And I know obviously your splenic center is undefined, and yes, it's going to be helpful for you. This is going to be helpful for everyone, whether you have a defined spleen, an undefined spleen, whether you're a generator, manifesting generator, projector, reflector, wherever you lie in your type, your strategy, your authority. All of this is going to be really, really helpful to you to understand. So let's have a look. The splenic center is the center on your human design chart. If you've got your chart in front of you, have a look at your chart now, and you'll see at the bottom you've got your root center. So the very bottom center on your chart is your root. The center directly above your root center is your sacral, and then to the left of your sacral we have the splenic center. And the splenic center is the center of intuition, fear, well-being, and vitality. Okay, this is about your survival. It is the center of survival and sense. And we're not just talking about senses in terms of what you see, what you hear, what you smell. Remember, we're talking about energetic sense here. So this center is primed with an inbuilt survival mechanism. Everything that happens in your spleen is about whether you are safe or not. Okay, and so when I'm talking about Belief Synergy in terms of subconscious program, we're talking about the things that you've been holding on to, the beliefs, the programs, the thoughts, the fears that you've been holding on to that has stopped you from taking aligned action in your business, or that have kept you playing smaller than you desire to or design to. When it comes to the energetic side, the human design side of what we're going to be doing in Belief Synergy this time round, we're talking about the energetic resonance. not just of what you're holding on to, but sometimes also what's going on in your environment, what other people are feeling, what other people are picking up on, what they're sensing, and then what they're putting out as a result, that you are also picking up on inside of your splenic center. And this shifts the way that you feel energetically. It shifts the way that you move forward. So really important to recognize that when we're talking about the splenic center, depending on whether your spleen is defined or undefined, we're not just talking about the energetics that you've picked up over a lifetime and that are storing, but we're also talking about the environments that you place yourself in and the people and situations that you're surrounding yourself with. So I'm talking about survival and fear, but also with the flip side of this, if we pick up one end of the spectrum, we also pick up the other. So the capacity and the wisdom that you have access to in the splenic center is also that feel-good factor. It's knowing intuitively that something is right for you, that a place is right for you, that people are right for you, that the environment that you're in is right for you. It's that intuitive knowing of this is good for me. It is that sense of being able to release those fears, process those fears, and to move forward confidently in following your strategy and your authority. It is that a place where you feel vitalized, is a place where you feel lit up with life. Like it's a place within us that we can access a lot of feel good feels, right? So there are two sides of this. It's not just oh, this is where all the fear resides. There is also this energy of vitality and really like I'm doing things that are good for my well-being, and we're going to talk about this a bit more. Okay, so the center is highly sensory. It's like a radar. It's constantly scanning your environment and responding moment to moment. And it's based on your instinct, your intuition, the taste of life around you. This isn't about intelligence, okay? So there's no applied intelligence. We're not up here in the Ajna and Head Center where we're looking at concepts and an understanding of what we're afraid of. The fear and intuition that we feel inside of the splenic center it comes without logical reasoning. So those moments when you walk into a room and you go, something doesn't feel right. And looking around me, everything looks okay, but something here doesn't feel right to me. Okay? It's like the red light that starts to flash around you. It's also where stored fears, so things that have happened to us in the past, things that we've experienced in the past, we've heard in the past, where we have a sense of something and it triggers that old story, that old energetic resonance within us. So there are fears around, and these particularly affect you in your business. Fear around not knowing enough. Fear of the future. Future casting. What if I do this, what if? And if I do that, what if? What if that happens? What if they judge me? What if I mess up? What if I don't make the money that I thought I was going to make? What if this launch is a complete failure? Like all of the what ifs start to come up, and this is residing in that splenic center. It's the fear of the past. What if it's just like the last time I tried? What if this launch is just like the last launch I had? What if I get a negative review or a refund request, right? Like all of those things that can come up when we're starting to talk about our products, share our offers more. There might be the fear of taking responsibility. You know, owning a business is huge responsibility for all of us. And when you have little children in your life that you're responsible for taking care of, there's this fear of responsibility, this fear of taking ownership over the results that you have in your business. And also the fear of being the person that has to make the decisions. It's all on me, right? So that can keep us playing small. That can keep us not taking actions because we're worried, what if we make the wrong decision? I'm going to put this here. I'm going to talk about this a lot more in Belief Synergy, but just if any of that is resonating with you right now, any of that at all, what if you make the right decision? Or better yet, what if you were to believe that every decision you make is the right decision because you'll make it right? That no matter what decision you make and what the outcomes of that are, you can handle all of that. Me, all me. I hear you, Janelle. I hear you completely. You're not alone. Right? We all have fear. None of us are exempt from fear. said to my partner before coming on this live, like, I really want to, I've been thinking about going to talk about the Splenic Center for ages. Oh, I'm terrified because I want to deep dive into it. And what if I miss something? What if I don't say all of the things that I wanted to say? What if I miss out something crucial? It's really important to me that you guys understand the energetics here. And what if I miss something? But if I don't say anything at all, if I don't come live, I'm not going to say anything. You're not going to get any of it, right? We all have fear. Recognizing fear is really important because it doesn't just limit us. I talk about fear quite negatively a lot of the time. But fear can limit us. It has limitations. But it also provides the ability to survive and to feel good. That intuitive knowing if this is a toxic situation for me, that intuitive knowing if something isn't right here for me, this feels off, gives us so much guidance and gives us so much ability. If we can learn to trust that intuitive nudge, we get to redirect. And very similar on the flip side of that, that intuitive knowing of, this is slightly scary, but I know this is going to be the most amazing thing for me. I don't know how I know. There's nothing in my physical reality that tells me this is going to work out for me, but I can feel it. Our ability to trust that is everything when it comes to business. Tapping into your intuition, tapping into that sense that goes beyond sight, hearing, sound, taste, touch. Especially when we have big goals and big dreams and visions. You have a big goal, you have a big dream, you have a big vision of what you want to accomplish in your business. Your ability to know that although there is nothing in my reality right now that tells me that's possible for me, I intuitively know that that was meant for me. Can I trust that? This is all happening in the Splenic Center. All of that is happening in the Splenic Center. It's gorgeous. It's how we get to feel good about the life and the business that we're creating for ourselves. So this center is spontaneous. Because it is responding at all times, your intuition isn't something that you get control over. The fear itself, when the moment of fear arises, isn't something that you get control over. Which is why we all experience this. It's a spontaneous eruption of energy within us. It happens. And when fear happens or when intuition strikes, there's up to us to listen to that, to feel it and to follow it. If it's fear that's limiting us, it's up to us to process it. To really understand, is this an intuitive knowing or is this fear? Fear comes with the logic, right? But if it's fear-based and it's not coming from my strategy and authority, then it is not aligned for me to follow or make my decisions in my business from that place of fear. All that happens that when we do that is we slow down, we decrease our auric capacity to receive what we desire, we decrease our magnetism, and we make decisions that keep us in that phase of playing small. Right, so it's spontaneous, and we can't control when it happens, we just have to learn how to deal with it when it does happen. Okay. I want to just make this connection here between two of our 4 pillars. Because three of our 4 pillars. One of our pillars is alignment, the inner compass. That's your strategy, your authority, following what's aligned for you, listening to your body wisdom to tune you into, when do I need to rest? When do I need to move? Is it safe for me to go now? Is it not safe for me to go now? Is this what I need? Is that what I need? What do my clients need to hear from me today? This is all tapping into your body wisdom. Part of this comes from your spleen. The next piece of this is our mind empowerment. Empowering ourselves to know that we are capable of handling anything. Empowering ourselves mentally to open up to receive. But the third piece of this is our well-being. And I said the Splenic Center is connected to your well-being. Your well-being is your wealth. When you feel well and good, you show up differently. When you have been taking care of yourself and you are well-resourced, you show up differently. And the Splenic Center has a huge role to play in this, because when you're in a fear state, you are in your nervous system, your body, your energetic system enters a state of stress. And we've all experienced a level of stress. No one's immune from stress. So when we're experiencing stress, what happens within our bodies is that we deplete ourselves energetically. Over time, stress takes a toll on our body, our immune system, our ability to fight off viruses, our ability to be energized, our ability to be well and healthy. And your health, your well-being is what drives your business. Without it, there is no business for you to have, right? So if you're noticing suddenly that you're, catching more colds than usual, or your vitality has dropped, or you're just feeling generally under the weather, then really, can you tap into this space of asking yourself, am I living in a stress state? Am I experiencing stress in my body, the high cortisol levels, the adrenaline, right? And the chances are that if the answer to that is yes, there is something happening energetically in your splenic center. It might not just be fear per se, it's this staying in patterns of behavior that are toxic to us. Staying up night just to get everything ready, all night just to get everything ready for that launch. Knowing that you've had a disturbed night's sleep with your child and not allowing yourself to nap during the day because there's just so much to get done. Saying yes to clients that are actually not your ideal clients simply for the money, as opposed to being from, operating from that place of alignment and integrity. Why? Because fear drives those decisions. It's comfortable for me to continue those patterns and behaviors. It's comfortable for me to say yes to this because if I don't, then I'm not going to have this income. I don't trust enough yet that I can say no to these clients that aren't aligned for me, and more clients will come that are. Right? So then a lot of this steeps in fear. And when you realize that we stay in these toxic patterns and behaviors from a place of fear, and then you realize the effect that that has on our well-being and immunity, you'll realize that none of these things are separate. That's why you can't run your business successfully and sustainably without nurturing all 4 pillars. So take a look at your chart now and tell me in the comments, is your spleen, I know for you, Cherelle, it'll be undefined, but anybody else watching, and if you're watching on the replay, take a look at your chart and tell me, is your spleen coloured in, meaning it's defined, or is it white, meaning it's undefined? If your spleen is defined, then you are a very spontaneous being, and you're highly intuitive. Trust your intuition. You're designed to react to life in the spur of the moment. Always on your toes. You also glow. You have this beautiful glow about you, like lighting up a room with your presence, because when you're aligned and you feel good, shows that you're following that spleen. So the energy in your spleen is operating just as the way that it was designed to operate. With the defined spleen, think about what this means. You have consistent energy access to that sensory aspect, to this radar of the spleen, which means you are consistently picking up fear, things that are not good for you or are good for you. You're consistently always scanning, which leads to this experience sometimes of hypervigilance. And when you're disempowered in this, it's always being on the lookout for what could go wrong. Always sensing what's good, what's bad, what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, right? Like we're hyper vigilant about what's in our environment. Like the watchful mind. And there's something really beautiful about this as well, because this is a beautiful energy that you give to others. You're aware of what's right for that, like intuitively knowing, right? Like you're a bodyguard of the well-being of others, quite often the healers of us. But it means that you spend a lot of time engaged sensing the environment, where the atmosphere is unpleasant, where there's a smell that you don't like, where somebody's just moved slightly in the wrong way, where there's a speed, a pace that's going on, whatever it is in the environment, you'll be alerted to it. It's really important that you're not afraid of that, that you're open to taking these warning signals from your environment. And really understanding that they don't necessarily mean danger. Doesn't necessarily mean that something is coming that is going to harm you. It just simply means that there's something there that doesn't fit with your nature right now. There's something there that doesn't feel good to you. There's something there that doesn't make you feel vitalized, that doesn't feel good in your system. So it doesn't mean that you're at danger all of the time when you sense these things. It simply means that something here doesn't sit with me well. It isn't for me. Heed those things that are coming up. So much of the undefined is like trying to talk yourself out of it. Oh, they told me it'll be okay. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure there's nothing. No, I'll stay. There's nothing to worry about, right? So you talk yourself out of it. But actually, it's not whether it's going to be okay or not that your body is sensing or telling you. It's just that this isn't right for me. So heed those warnings. Like, you're allowed to heed those warnings, even if they seem illogical to yourself or to others, right? If you keep putting yourself in the wrong environment, so I'm going to bring this back to business for a moment, because this is for the whole of life, right? But if you keep putting yourself in the wrong environments, the wrong networking spaces, utilizing the wrong marketing channels, the channels that don't feel right to you, utilizing templates that feel wrong, or templates that just don't align with you, but you keep going because someone told you this is the way that it's done, you're going to, more than anything, when it comes to the splenic center, find yourself becoming unwell, depleted. And it can put your immune system out of sync. And then we've put our well-being on the line. So when you, the thing that I just really wanted to bring on about the defined spleen is that your whole life, and this goes with your business as well, is best lived moment to moment. Too much future casting is going to stop you from sensing moment to moment in your defined spleen. And there is a tendency with the defined spleen to fear this and fear that, because your survival mechanism is constantly on. So it's like the mum who's threatened to let her, worried about letting her child go out and play. Or the person who is worried about every possible risk that could come up. So stay alert, stay tapped into the spleen, but don't allow yourself to slip into the disempowered state with this. Like, don't allow this to stop your life from happening. Allow it to guide your life. Allow it to guide you, but don't allow it to restrict you, to limit you. What happens is if all of those fears or all that you're sensing becomes a paralyzing place. And I've been there, where you're paralyzed, you're afraid to do things because you're future casting it too much rather than responding in the moment. Try it on, see how it feels, and then use that intuitive sense to guide you to your next steps. So what if your spleen's undefined? For those of my undefined spleen people here, don't think because your spleen is undefined that there is some way that you should not experience fear then, right? Like, I have an undefined spleen. That means I don't have consistent energy access to this intuition fear thing that you're talking about. Don't have so much fear. We only wish, right? The difference between the defined spleen and the undefined spleen is that your fear is being picked up from the environment around you. Where you have an undefined center, you're processing, moving, shifting energy for the people and the environments that you're in. So it's not consistently switched on into this state of alertness, as opposed to you're picking up on the other people around you and their experience and their fears. So rather, we're experiencing a projection in some ways or forms. We're sampling the energetics of other people. And so it's really easy for you to get triggered if you've got an open spleen by the conditioning influence of other people around you and the people in your environment. And you might find yourself mirroring their fears. So someone might come to say to you and they're like, I don't know, you're talking about your business, you're talking about your launch, and you're like, doesn't it ever worry you like that you won't sell enough this month? Or doesn't it ever worry you that you'll get, somebody will question your masterclass? Or doesn't it, aren't you afraid that you might mess up? And you're like, oh my gosh, yes, all the time. Oh my God, Nia, I hadn't thought about that until right now. And now you've said it, yeah, no, totally, I totally get it. And they don't even have to say anything, right? Because it's just in their energy, it's just in their body language. Sometimes they don't even have to say anything, and all of a sudden you walk into a space and you're with somebody and you were feeling really confident about something before, and now all of a sudden, oh, I was like feeling so good about this, and now I left this space or I'm in this space, and suddenly I don't feel so good about it anymore. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm making the wrong decisions? So it can lead to a lot of questioning, like questioning of self. And there's a tendency with the undefined spleen that these fears get magnified. They kind of grow, they expand. And we have a tendency with fear that we want to tell people about it. We want some assurity. The problem is that if you're in an environment where you've picked up on the fears of somebody else and you then go and speak about your fear, and it wasn't really yours to begin with, it's just an energetic that you've picked up from around you, and then you go and talk about the thing, and then the people in that environment that you're talking to about that thing, like, reconfirm it to you. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I was thinking exactly the same thing. And so it grows and expands and it grows and it expands and it can snowball. And then when we've left that environment, if we're not processing, if we're not allowing ourselves to release this, how much of this is mine, how much have I picked up from elsewhere, you know, if we start taking ownership over the fear of other people in our environment and we store that, right? So rather than as it's meant to, flowing in and out depending on where we are, like allowing that energetic to flow with us, we actually end up with this conditioning, this center where we've picked up all of these stories and then we're holding on to them, and then we're never asked to hold on to in the first place. And this is the beautiful thing with the undefined spleen, is that we actually have this beautiful ability to see and feel and experience what other people are feeling and experiencing. We have this ability to notice what other people are feeling, right? But we have to be able to notice that, emphasize with it, we can hold space for people's fears, we can process them with them, right? When someone shares it with you or when you pick up on it, you can hold it, you can recognize it, and you can notice it, and you can validate it, and then you can move it and help them process it and help them shift it. So there's this beautiful wisdom and skill and gorgeousness that comes in with the undefined spleen center for other people around you, as well for yourself. But it's then that you have this responsibility to really practice emptying out, to really practice processing what's coming up for you. Because you're not just processing it for you, you're processing it for other people around you as well. So it's about you being able to come back to your most empowered state over and over again. Now, the way in which you do this, we're going to be talking about in human design. How do I process that? How do I empty it out? How do I identify what's mine and what's not? How do I identify whether this is baggage from my past or other people's experiences or the environment I'm in? How do I release that? That's exactly what we're going to be doing during Belief Synergy Live. So if you're recognizing any of this coming up for you, then Belief Synergy Live is where you need to get yourself into this month. One of the ways that you can begin doing this, like I say, we'll go more in depth during that experience, but one of the ways that you start to do this is really start to objectify, as opposed to taking ownership of, I feel afraid, I feel scared, I feel sad, I feel this way, I feel like maybe this isn't right for me, I feel afraid that they're going to judge me. Like, rather than taking ownership of that, like, I feel, we start going, huh, I noticed this coming up. Can I view this from a different perspective? What lens am I feeling or experiencing or looking at this through right now? And is that serving me? Is that truly how I feel? Is that truly my experience of the world? Is that truly how it is all of the time? Or is it just some of the time? Or is this something somebody else has told me and I'm yet to experience this? Where is this coming from? And this is where we shift, right? We shift into actually being able to use our analytical faculties, the ajna in the head center, to really make sense. As we take this from this I am, I'm being, I'm feeling, I'm experiencing, to I'm witnessing. And then we shift the way that we're witnessing. Right? So, also with the undefined splenic center, you have this ability to diagnose the well-being in others. You intuitively know when someone's doing things that aren't really good for them. You intuitively know when somebody's feeling slightly off. You're able to pick up when somebody else in your environment is on edge. Okay? There is an irony in this though, is that you probably have a greater awareness of what's happening with everybody else around you than you do of yourself. So with the undefined splenic center, you may struggle to recognize your own well-being. There can be a tendency to be sensitive or what's the word? Drawn into experiences, staying in toxic experiences that aren't good for you, that aren't good for your well-being. Usually because they desensitize you to all of the ebbs and flows and the fear that you're experiencing. So it might be staying in not eating healthy. It might be binge eating. It might be drugs, alcohol. There are things that stop us from feeling the fear and the experience. We numb ourselves out from it. We realize the effect that it's having on our well-being. Prescription drugs, even things that just deplete us of our vitality and our immune system, because we don't feel so much. We don't want to feel all of the shifts, because there's a lot of shifting, there's a lot of flow happening in the undefined splenic center. And equally, right, like I'm swinging to both sides of the spectrum because there are lights and shadows of all of our senses and all of our experiences, right? You are likely to have sharpened, intuitive, clairvoyant, or not clairvoyant necessarily, but psychic abilities. Just a knowing. You're open to like reflecting the undercurrents of people's lives because you can sense them. There's this intuition that you can guide others with, because you're picking up on the signals from all around you, which is a powerful, powerful experience to have. Okay. So I'm going to kind of wrap this up a little bit. I just wanted to give you that overview of the spleen. I'm hoping that what that's enabled you to see is the ways in which the spleen can affect you, and the ways in which we can hold on to conditioning here, the ways in which we can move from a place of empowerment, right? Because the splenic center is part of us. It's part of your design. It's part of who you're designed to be. And there are energetics within your splenic center that are completely empowered. And there are places where we pick up conditioning or we hold on to things within these centers that aren't actually supporting us. And you bring this back to your business, right? You bring all of that back to your business. Imagine if you could, whether you have a defined or undefined spleen, be in your most empowered experience of that definition or that undefined center. Meaning learning to trust that intuition. Meaning learning to recognize what belongs to you and what doesn't. Learning how to process and empty out and release those things. Learning how to discern where fear is stopping you from following your strategy and authority. Learning how to discern where you're making decisions in your business based on what you believe will keep you safe versus based on what your strategy and authority were designed to guide you to. Noticing where you're ignoring your intuition and logicking it away because it doesn't make sense. So much of this, the success that you will have, won't make sense. When I first ever sold out my one-to-one program, it didn't make sense. I was at a campsite with very little Wi-Fi signal, planned out very little content, couldn't do the lives that I usually did, could only message people back like twice a day because I had to drive somewhere to have Wi-Fi signal or borrow signal from somewhere else. I was charging my phone on charging banks. I couldn't really use my laptop very often because I couldn't charge it very often. I was traveling, having the best time with my kids, camping, paying very little attention to my business in the grand scheme of things compared to what I was doing months before. I shouldn't have been able to sell out my offers. My marketing consisted of me taking pictures of me in front of a tent. in the logical, conceptual scheme of what it takes to be successful in business, to sell out programs. Show up, go live, put content out every single day, do this, do that, do this, do that. In that moment, I'd chosen to trust my strategy and authority. I just wanted to go and play. I wanted to go and travel with my family. I wanted to go camp. I wanted to go meet with people that I'd been working with virtually for a long time. Me and Claire had the best time on that camping trip. I wanted to just go and play and explore, and I kept saying, I can't, I need to focus on the business. I can't, I need to focus on the business. And the moment I followed my strategy and authority, which was my sacral response to, hell yes, let's just go travel, my one-to-one program sold out just like that. Most of the success you have in your business will not make logical sense. And there are times when you can do all of the things, but because you're not energetically there, because energetically you're doing it from a place of fear, or you're doing it because somebody told you to, or you're doing it because you should, or you must, you can do all of the things and have zero results. And similarly, we can do all of the things. We can create an aligned strategy, one that excites us, one that meets us where we're at. We can create an aligned strategy and follow it and do all of the things, but also be energetically present, energetically excited, fascinated, operating from a place of satisfaction, success, in awe of life. When we build from that place energetically, it's like the doing then amplifies the energy, not the other way around. We often think the energy will then be the thing that amplifies the doing. No, the doing amplifies the energetics. So when you're in the energy of being empowered, when you're operating from your place of alignment, when you're excited, you're lit up, you're in your zone, then everything you do from there on out becomes more powerful. We always lead with logic first. And so what I want you to take away from this is that logic has its place, strategy has its place. Like, it's important in your business to have those things in place. But without the energy behind it, you're going to work harder, it's going to be harder, it's not going to be as fun, it's not going to be fulfilling, and we're not going to be taking care of the well-being, which is what supports you to go and have all of those wonderful adventures and enjoy the freedom that you're creating for yourself with your family. And I want you to be able to have it all, not just the business success one I end of the scale, but then I'm depleted and tired and stressed and overwhelmed at the other end of the scale. Not just that I get to go and spend loads of time with my family, but actually my bank balance is not looking healthy. I want you to have it all. You deserve it all. There's no reason why you can't have it all. But it takes for you to nurture all 4 pillars. All right, beautiful souls. If you want to come and join us for Belief Synergy Live, I hope this has been really helpful for you today, and I hope this has just given you a nice, beautiful insight into where human design fits into all of these things. Like, where it is all part of the same system. It's not something separate. It all matters to your business. So I hope it's helped you with that. But on the other side of this, I hope it's helped you to enlighten you about why we're doing what we're doing with human design in Belief Synergy Live this time round, this year. And if you want to come and find out more about that, I will pop the link in the comments below this video. But if you've got questions, DM me. My inbox is always open. I'm happy to answer them. All right, beautiful souls. Loving you and leaving you. Have a great one.